Hi, welcome to my channel, Mostly Knitting. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, I'm Tash, and this is a podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing, and I also put out regular tutorials. So it's Thursday the 9th of October, and I'm recording from Sydney, Australia. I'll start with my finished objects. So I have 1.5 knitting finished objects and 1 sewing finished object, which is my Babylon leather bag. And so I'll start with my knitting first. I am wearing the Chrysler top by Pernille Larsen, and I knit that out of Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the colourway Blood Orange. And I've got a bit under half a ball left. It did take around 1.5 balls. I'll put down below, I forgot to weigh it, just exactly how much it weighs. And I sort of did a bit of a push on this. It had been on the needles for about 4 months, and it actually felt like even longer than that. It's a 1x1 rib where on one round you twist the knits and you do the purls normal, and then the other round it's just a normal 1x1 rib, and you repeat that over and over and over, and then you get to a point where you do some cup decreases here, which I found was a little bit, it's quite wordy in the pattern. It's sort of the same kind of decrease all the way up, but it was a little bit wordy, and I do know that some people found it a bit confusing, so I did do a recording of those decreases. If anyone's interested, I'll put that up. Because it won't take me too long to edit, because it's pretty short. It's just the decreases here. Other than that, it's pretty clear with the pattern. So it's written to use a 3mm needle, but I was a little bit nervous that it was actually going to be a little bit open. So I went down to a 2.5mm needle, and I did knit the smallest size. Then when it comes to the back is an I-cord. Just across here, it's an I-cord bind off, and you're meant to go down 2 needle sizes. And I was a bit nervous about that. I thought, well, if I go down, like in the pattern, it would have been go from a 3mm to a 2.5. I went down just 1 from a 2.5 to a 2.25, and it was so tight. I managed to get it on, but it was so uncomfortable, and it was pretty much unwearable. And I just put it aside because I hadn't attached the straps yet. And I was like, what am I going to do? This has taken so long. And I almost was tempted to just be like, I'm just finishing it, and if it's a bit tight, whatever. But I knew I would probably almost never wear it. So just leaving it for a couple of days was really good, because this morning, thankfully, I hadn't woven in the end, and I hadn't already attached the straps or anything. I sort of put it on to work out how to attach the straps or where to attach the straps, and then I was like, this is really tight and really uncomfortable. So the fabric, this had enough stretch, but just this here didn't have enough stretch. So I thought, no, I'm going to take it off, and I hadn't woven in the end, woven in that end, and it literally took me an hour to redo it. It was not that big a deal. It was like 100 stitches, and it's pretty easy to undo the bind off. And yeah, I don't know why. So I'm glad I did do it, because I actually think it's really good now. So I redid the bind off on a 2.5, which is the same size that I knit the body on, and it just needed that extra stretch. When I take it off, it does flare a little bit, but obviously it's more important that it fits when it's on the body than what it looks like when it's off the body. One thing that I'm noticing with the I-cord straps, I did 80 rows for the I-cord straps. This one keeps flipping over. No matter what I do, it keeps, and yet it's attached properly and correctly, like in a, like it does line up. It's not twisted or anything, but it just, maybe it's just, I have very slopey shoulders, so it probably just wants to, whatever. It's not a big deal. I just have to accept that it's going to do that. There's nothing I can do. Like as soon as I straighten it, it just flips straight over. So like, whatever, doesn't matter. Thankfully, the inside doesn't look like that different from the outside, because I think it's a 6-stitch I-cord, maybe 6. Anyway, I can't remember. But yeah, I'm really happy it's done. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to hit myself on one of my scars. If you've been watching for a while, or if you saw my Instagram post, I had my appendix removed about 6 days ago, so I'm a little bit sore, a bit tender in those spots, so I'm just being a little bit careful and a bit ginger at the moment. I'm recovering well, but just, I might I just sort of hit myself there right where my stitches are, so that was a bit silly. But yeah, I'm happy. I'll stand up and show you. Now, with what I'm wearing this with now, so from here down, it's 12 inches, and you can see a little bit of my tummy here. I would wear this with something a little bit, so I'm just wearing it with some slightly lower waisted shorts, but mainly that's to protect. So here's that's one of my what do you call it, entry points, one of my stitches, and there's another one there, and there's another one down here. So I don't want to have anything like sitting on my waist up here, so I'm wearing it with something slightly lower at the moment, but I probably would wear it with something a little bit higher, so it just covers that tummy section. I'll just show you from the back. Yeah, I think it looks good. I'm happy with it. I'm happy it's done, and yeah, I think I'll wear it. I was going to say I don't think I like it as much as my ripple camisoles, but that was when I'd done the bind off like too tightly, and I'm actually much happier with it now, and I really like the colour, but it's so much more work than the ripple camisole for what I would say is not necessarily any, like that much better a finished object. It's not really what I would say is worth the effort. So if I wanted another camisole like this, I'll just make more ripple camisoles because it's so quick and easy. Now that may have something to do with the fact that this is silk and all my ripple camisoles I've made out of wool, but I think it's probably more to do with the 1x1 just takes a lot longer than 3x3, and of course 1x1 twisted takes a long time. So yeah, anyway, I'm happy it's finished, and yeah, it is a winner, and I reckon it's coming into summer here, so I'm sure it will get somewhere. So yep, that's my Chrysler top by Pernille Larsen. My second finished object is my Babylon leather Birkin tote bag, and I'm so proud of myself for getting this done. I still had quite a bit to do yesterday. I hadn't even done half of the bottom. I sewed in the bottom, and I also sewed in the inside pocket and attached some of the finishings and got it all done last night. So yes, I'm very excited to be able to show it now. This kit from Babylon Leather was gifted to me about 10 months ago, and I just worked on it a little bit here and there. And Babylon Leather also gifted the Abbey Lock bag for my daughter Alex, which she finished like, 9 months ago. And she's also done 2 other bags since then. So the reason it's taken me so long is I've just been prioritizing other things. It doesn't necessarily have to take that long. But yes, and of course, like I've mostly been making it with other people. So when my husband's been making his or Alex making hers, I've just been stitching on it with them. So yeah, so anyway, I'll show you a little bit about it. So it's this particular bag has quite like a bit, it takes quite a bit to sort of, close it actually. I'll open it up. You've got all these little straps. It's very ornamental. It's not, like in hindsight, I probably would have chosen a more practical bag because I've put so much time into it. And if you look, like as I'm sort of opening it up, it's a bit of a, it's a bit of a process to open. I guess it's not that big, but it's a bit of a process to close it. Anyway, I'll show you this bag. So this is the inner pocket in here, and it's quite deep, so I could definitely fit my phone in there. That's the only inside pocket. It's not lined, but there's so much to this. Like all of this stitching, I did all of this. Like I'm so proud of myself. Attaching the handles. This here is piping, so it's all piping along the sides. So you do each of the sides, and then you do the bottom as well. It's got little feet to protect the bottom. And yep, but other than that, there's no other pockets. It's quite a large bag, but to put it together or to close, like you can carry it like that. That's fine and everything, and that's the front. But to close it, you actually have to like put this through here, put this here, put this here. Okay, it's a bit of a process to close. I don't know if you can see it very well. So I'm putting that, like that little buckle goes in there. Oh, sorry, that's in the way. That goes in there. Sorry, my son's studying. You might hear him a little bit in the background. So I've got these 3 things that go in here. Then you pull this and put it in there and over. I've got to be careful not to hit my stitches. Over that. And then you pull this one, put it through that spot there and over that, and then turn that. So that was quite a procedure to close it. So like it just looks so lovely and elegant, and that's the reason I chose it. But in terms of practicality, just who's going to do that like every time they want to get something out of their bag? So I'm really, really happy with it, and I just think it looks so. I've got this little lock on the side. That lock is meant to go on there, and I've got a key inside there. But again, like that was just a process just to close it. Then if I locked it, and then I'd probably lose the key. So yes, I don't see myself locking it. Anyway, so happy with this bag, but I think my daughter Alex was probably much more sensible in the ones she chose. So it's been really fun making it. I've loved making it, sort of sitting stitching with other family members while they're sewing on their bags. But I kind of wish I'd made one like the Abbey lock like Alex made, because she uses that every single day for work. So I think if you put so much time in, it's kind of like with our knitting, right? If you've put so much time into something, you want to be able to wear it. And I'm trying to be better about that with my knitting as well, to really think through, not just I want to knit that, but where am I wearing it? What am I wearing it with? How much time is it going to take? Like this was a real labor of love, but I'll wear camisoles a lot. And I love this color. And I already have, I have like a nice white skirt or white pants I can wear it with. So like it fits well into my wardrobe. The problem I would say with this bag, nothing wrong with the kits in general, but for me it's probably not the most practical. So I'm kind of wishing I'd chosen, like even Alex's second bag, so her Abbey lock she uses every single day for work. The little black bag that she made, like a quilted shoulder bag, that's her going out bag, and she uses that all the time. And then I think it was a Kelly bag she made, like a pink crocodile Kelly one. That one doesn't get as much use, but that's more like a fancy bag when, she's going out somewhere a bit more elevated. But again, that has its place. Whereas this feels like a daily use bag, but so hard to get into that I think I'm going to use it anyway, but it's quite a palaver to shut it. So, but I had so much fun making it and I'm so proud of it. I'm definitely going to use it, but I'm not sure, like once it's sort of opened, it's going to sit open probably for the day. Anyway, it also is pretty heavy. Like that weighs about 870 grams, which is I think around 2 pounds. So that's pretty heavy with nothing in it. So that's just something to be mindful as well. But I'm so happy with it. The other thing I was going to mention, there's video support for the kits, but sometimes they've like improved the kit. Like that pocket that I showed you was quite large, but on the video it's a much smaller pocket. And on the video, when it says where to attach it, it says like attach it maybe 9 pinholes in. But I was looking at mine going 9 pinholes in, but if I put it in like symmetrical, that's only about 5 pinholes in, like 9, and it would have been all the way up one end. But that was, and I could see in the video, that pocket looks a lot smaller than my pocket. So for the smaller pocket, it might have been 9 pinholes in, but for this later version, you actually only need to go 5 pinholes in. So I would just be a little cautious with the videos, that if you're, if something doesn't look quite the same, like even these little clips, these clips on the front here, in the video, there's like a front and a back, and you unscrew it and you put them, like you put one on the front and one on the back and screw it in. Well, with this one, it's more like a thing that just kind of like presses in. Having said that, it doesn't press in by hand. I actually had to use a mallet to get that to go through the little holes. So the kits come with what I would say is almost everything you need. The other few things that I needed that are not in the kit, but I understand why they don't send it in the kit, is a lighter. So, they're not going to send a lighter in the kit. That's probably not safe to send in normal mail anyway. But you want a lighter for closing off the ends. Sort of when you finish the stitching, you burn the end of the thread. So you definitely want a lighter. The other thing is a seam unripper. So if you sew, you probably already got one of these, or if you have a sewing machine, there's probably one in the machine. You're going to make mistakes, right? So just having something like that to be able to pull out the stitching really easy was very helpful. And the other thing I needed yesterday was a mallet, because there is no way I was going to be able to get those clips in, and I just put like a towel on it and bashed away and managed to get them through. So they were the only things that were not in the kit that I needed to complete the bag. Other than that, I had heaps of thread. Even with the mistakes that I made, there was plenty of thread to fix any, like to redo certain seams. The only other thing I would say in terms of, I'm not sure why, when like you do the piping around the bottom, they get you to start on this side, but that's the presentation side. So I would say that's not as nice to have that on the outside of the bag. I would have thought you would have started that on that side. So if you do happen to get a bag kit that involves that kind of that kind of thing with it. Just be mindful of where you're sort of starting the base, and I would have just started them completely on the opposite side. It's not that big a deal, but you know, like if you could go either way, you can start wherever. Why not start on the other side? Anyway, yeah, so happy with that. And it's going to feel weird that I don't have one to sew, but my husband's still going on his, and he occasionally needs a bit of help. So, and then my daughter Mia is still working on her bag. Alex doesn't have one at the moment, but yeah, those two. And I might sort of encourage Mia to get going on hers again, and I'll sit and knit with her while she works on hers. So I just want to say thank you to Babylon Leather for sending these. They have been so much fun for the family. Actually, I forgot to mention my husband's already made one, and he is actually on his second bag as well. So I'm definitely bringing up the rear. But yeah, if you think you might want to make one of these bags, there is a link in the description below to that's an affiliate link, so I'll get a small purchase of the proceeds if you purchase using that link. But if you use that, you will get 10% off. Even if there is like a current discount, I think there's something like 20% off at the moment, although that could change when you're watching this. If you use my link and the code, I think it's mostly knitting 10 or mostly knitting, I'll put it on the screen, you'll get an extra 10% off. Anyway, it's been really fun for me, definitely worth doing, but I would just really think through when you choose one, where am I using it? Because you're going to put time and energy into it, and you want to use it as much as possible. So I would choose one that you think is going to work. Like Alex, when she is just so, like, she's thoughtful. She's like, okay, let me look at the measurements of this bag. How big is my laptop? Is that going to fit? You know, I mean, that's just sensible, isn't it, right? But that's what I would suggest. If you're going to make one, think about what you're going to carry in it, and, you know, will it fit? Make sure you're choosing one that will fit whatever the things are that you would like to take in it. Anyway, so that's my my one, you know, I think feels like a really big finished object for the week. Moving on to my works in progress. I have one new work in progress and some progress on two of my other whips. So I'll start with my new one. This is the Sophie scarf by Petite Knit, and it just looks like a blue blob at the moment. But I'm knitting this out of, I'll show you the yarn. This is Madelinetosh MCN Sport in the colourway Nocturne. And I'm knitting it together. This is a new acquisition actually. This is myak baby yak. I think it's midnight blue. And I've got 2 balls of each. This has plenty of yarn, like way more. I bought 2 of these just recently. I'll talk about it in my acquisitions. This has 350 meters per ball, and this has 230. So I've definitely got more than enough of this. So I'll have to think about what to do with the leftovers of that. But this Madelinetosh MCN Sport has 230 meters per ball, so 460 meters, which is probably a bit less than the Sophie Shawl pattern needs, but you can pretty much customize it for whatever length of yarn you have, as long as it's enough to, you know, make a decent length shawl. So this orange marker is the halfway point where I started decreasing instead of increasing. So if I put that out to my fingertip, it's definitely going to be more than my wingspan, and I haven't blocked it. So this is a gift, but I'm pretty sure, like, from there where I started decreasing, it's going to be long enough, but I will probably block it out a little bit in length. It's a very, just want to make sure I don't hit things so you hear it clinking. It's quite a dense fabric, the two of them held together. I'm knitting it on a 4.5 millimeter needle, but I probably could have gone up to a 5 millimeter. Even though the Madelinetosh MCN is marked as a sport, it's much more like a DK weight. I think it knits at like a DK weight gauge. And then, of course, when you hold it together, even though the myak baby yak, which is lovely and soft, is, you know, quite thin, it definitely really puffs up the fabric. So it's going to be very different to, I've made quite a few Sophie scarves, but I've only made one Sophie shawl before. And with that one, I used Cardiff Cashmere Small and Cardiff Cashmere Prime. And that was a very light and airy one. I used a 4 millimeter needle for that. That was very light and airy, and it was sort of more like a very light layer for mid-season, whereas this will be much better for, like, it's quite thick and dense. And this is, I'm gifting this to a friend who lives in London, so I think that will be quite good, more like for the London winter. And also I think navy's quite like a versatile colour, so I'm hoping that my friend likes it. So I only just started this, I don't know, about a week ago, and yeah, I'm already on the, I'm already on the decreases. I find sometimes with this, if you knit all the way to the last increase exactly with half your yarn, it's like the way down uses a bit more yarn than the way up. And maybe, like, I think it has something to do with like the increase, like, is the last, like, out of however many rows. It's slightly different for the shawl and the scarf, but however many rows, the increase or the decrease is the last one. So perhaps there's just like an extra amount of stitches on the way down, all the way down. So what I did was, when I had about one repeat left when I would have normally done the last increase, instead of doing an increase at that point, I switched to a decrease. So I used slightly less than half of my yarn for the last increase. And then I think towards the end it was using about 3 grams-ish, maybe 3.5 grams of the Madelinetosh Sport. So when I had about 4 grams left, I then knit up to where I would have done an increase and then switched to a decrease. And then pretty much soon after that started with the second ball. So this is the second ball now, and this is still the first ball of the myak. One thing I will say though, this is my second time using this yarn. I knit the Fiorellino by Isabell Kraemer in like a beige colour, and I had no problems winding it up on my ball winder for that sweater. But when I tried winding this navy up on my ball winder, and it just broke constantly. Break. And I literally could not wind it. And even as I'm knitting it, it has probably broken about, just pulled apart. Maybe, I will grab it. I'll grab a strand and show you. It's probably pulled apart maybe, I don't know, 5 times and I do put a bit of, tension on my yarn when I'm knitting, but for it to be that fragile, I'll go and grab like a strand of it and show you. So here's just a strand of it individually, and I'll just show you. I mean, you can't tell how much pressure, but I'll just sort of show you how thin it is, and it just pulls apart like that, just so easily. So something to be mindful of. It took me half an hour to wind one ball by hand. And you can see I've got the second one here set up on the Swift, and I've already got it on the Swift, but I'm just sort of like winding it by hand because there's just no way. Like, you saw how much. Well, I don't know if you obviously can't tell, but it was not a lot of tension, and it was breaking, which was interesting for me. Maybe because this is an actual fiber off an animal. Maybe for this particular batch, maybe the weather wasn't that great and their fleece wasn't as, like, yak fleece, is that what you call it? Is it called fleece? I don't know, whatever they combed off the fiber wasn't as strong, or I don't know what I'm talking about. But for whatever reason, I didn't have this problem with the beige kind of colour for my Fiorellino, but it has happened with both skeins for this midnight blue. So it's taken me half an hour to wind the first ball, and I sort of stopped part way because I just didn't have it in me, because like it's hard on your back just standing there winding and sort of going around the Swift. So anyway, I'll do it because 350 meters, one of them is not enough. I'll need the other one, so I will eventually get around to winding that off. Anything else I want to say about it? I got up to 61 stitches. And I'm on my way down now, and I've got, I think, 54. So this is obviously very easy, portable knitting, but I have to be very careful. It's definitely not walking knitting because it's probably too heavy on my arms now anyway, but it is small, but I just have to be quite careful as I'm knitting with it as well. I can't just have the 2 balls sitting in the bag, because even if I just pull them out of the knitting bag, it just breaks coming out of the knitting bag. So I sort of have to have it out of the bag. So I guess it's not really portable. It's a portable pattern, but with this particular yarn, it's not really portable knitting at the moment. Anyway, I'm hoping to have that done by next recording. So that's my one new work in progress. Oh, I might just quickly show you what the effect of... I thought this was a really great match, the midnight blue with this, and it just tones down the variation in this yarn a little bit, because I'll show you what the fabric looks like compared to... This is my my ripple camisole that I made using Madelinetosh MCN fingering in the colourway Nocturne. So they're both Nocturne, but can you see how this, with holding it with the midnight blue, this is much brighter. And it's not like this is, it's not like this is bad, but I think this is actually probably quite good for a scarf, because it just kind of gives it that depth, and it just tones down the variation in the Nocturne a little bit. Anyway, I'm really happy with how that's coming out. I have 2 other works in progress that have had some attention since my last recording, and one of them is the Nova skirt by Sandnes Garn. So I'm on my second ball, and I've probably got about 10 or 12 grams left, I'd say. So yeah, that's had a bit of progress. This is very easy knitting. The pattern and the yarn were gifted to me by Sandnes Garn as part of a collaboration with Yarnacopia. Sandnes Garn was available for pre-order in September, but those pre-orders have closed now, and I'm sure it will become available again at another point in the future, but just, you know, that's no longer available at the moment for purchase. But this was gifted to me as part of that collaboration, and yeah, this is going to take a while, so I'll be working on this for some time. I think I've got 9 balls in my size, and I'm only on the second ball, and I'm making the long skirt version. There's a short version and a long. So I'm knitting this out of Sandnes Garn 10 Peer Gint, and I'll put the colorway down below on the screen. This, I've done the waistband. It's a broken rib, so one round you knit, the other round is a 1x1 rib, and it's got increases as you go down. One thing I did was I had a lot of markers around here, like 8 markers for the increases, for where the increases happen. But at the moment the increases are only going to be happening maybe every 15 centimeters, which is 6 inches. That's a long way and quite a lot of knitting, and to be knitting around and around and around and constantly moving those 8 markers, I already sort of wrote down where those markers are positioned. So I'll just, when I get to a decrease round, pop just little light bulb stitch markers on those spots again, do the decreases, and then take them off for another 6 inches and knit some more. It's just like, you need to know where they are, but you don't actually need to have them on for like the majority of the project. So yep, it's coming along, and yeah, I think it's going to be really nice. You can see where I, like the top part, you probably see where I blocked here, and then it's changed. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really nice long skirt. There is like a sweater that goes with it as well. Maybe that's something I'll make at some point in the future, but for now, just working on the skirt. I'm knitting the smallest size, and I'm knitting it on the recommended needle size, which is a 3mm needle. So lots of small needles at the moment. Anything else I was going to say? No, nope, I think that's it. Oh, actually, I do know. It's colour 10 Pig in colour 2641. The only other whip that I worked on since I last recorded is the Seroto socks by Payne, and this is my half a finished object. So that's one sock done, and the yarn, this was dyed up and gifted to me by Ailsa, so she dyed this up with Erica from Yarnacopia, and I believe kits for this and like little sock sets. For this colourway and some other colourways that other podcasters are using are going to be available for pre-order, I think mid-October sometime. Ailsa's overseas at the moment, but when she comes back, she'll be dyeing up some yarn, and I think that's going to ship early November or sometime in November. Anyway, they're not up at the moment, but hopefully soon. So this was the colourway that Ailsa dyed up for me, these two. And so this is like a 100-gram skein and then a 20-gram mini skein. So I did the Seroto socks, which is top down. I did the colour work for the contrast colour for the cuff, the heel, which is like a slip stitch heel, and the toe, and that's all finished, and it fits my foot, which I'm very happy about. I didn't make a note of how many repeats there are. This is an 8-stitch repeat, but it's pretty easy to tell from the pattern. I think I made one boo-boo where I maybe did 3 knit rows instead of 2 somewhere in here. I don't know, you might be able to tell maybe there. Anyway, I'll try and match it again for the second. It's only 1 row, but I'll try and match it for the second sock. I usually try to cast on the second sock as soon as I finish the first one. So yeah, I just did the Kitchener for that this morning and started the second sock because it's top down. I just find it, I don't have any problem knitting the second sock after I've made the first one, but like if there's ever a barrier, it's just the cast on. So I made myself cast it on, 64 stitches on a 2.25mm needle. And I weighed this at the end and made sure that, because this was a 20-gram ball and I had 11.7 grams left before I started. So I knew I'd have enough for the second, and I'm sure I'll have plenty of this yarn. I'm sure I'd be able to make a pair of skimmer socks. So this is a 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon blend. using a yarn base from Nundle Woolen Mills. So yes, thank you to Elsa for dyeing that up for me, and yeah, very happy to have one sock off the needles. And then this is definitely portable knitting, and it's a very easy 8 row repeat. So once you've sort of got it set up, you don't really need to keep looking at the pattern. Yeah, that's it for my active works in progress. I have quite a few others that might actually, now that I've finished a few things, I might pull out to get started on, but I really want to prioritize that Sophie shawl because it is for, I'd like to have it actually finished and blocked before I go overseas, because I'm giving it to a friend, and I obviously need to be able to block it at home because I'm going to London first, so it will be the first place that I'm going to, or I want to gift it to my friend. So yep, so that's it for my works in progress. Moving on to my acquisitions and plans. Since I last recorded, I was gifted 2 patterns by really lovely viewers, so I just wanted to share those here. One of them is the Eve dress by Le Poule, which is this really gorgeous sequined dress where it's got this kind of sequined yarn held with another like Cartier shimmery sort of yarn. And so Gillian gifted me that pattern, and it's the kind of pattern that you can't really, well, you could, but it would be quite tricky to substitute yarn for. And the yarn's not easily available, so I just fell in love with it when I saw it. I definitely make it a longer version of it. So anyway, I put it on I think I saw it. I'm trying to think where I saw it. I was watching a podcaster and I saw her mention it, and it just looked so cute. I think it was Katie Snooks. Anyway, it just looked so fun. I would make a slightly longer version of it. It's very sort of 60s dress. And I looked for the yarn from Woolhull, I think, and then I was all set to purchase the yarn, and they don't ship to Australia. But then I was like, I'm going to Europe, and they do ship to Germany, so I have actually purchased the yarn in like the rose. I'll put the person's version who really inspired me in this kind of like a rose pinky kind of color with gold sequins on it. It just looked so cute, and she even did, instead of sleeves, she did little cap sleeves, which I thought was really sweet. I'm not sure if I'll make that modification, but it's an idea and I do really like it. So I purchased the yarn from Woolhull and I had it sent to my friend Eva in Germany. So that was a pattern acquisition from Gillian, so thank you, Gillian. And I've already purchased the yarn, but I don't have it. I'll be able to show it once I'm actually overseas. I can show you when I actually receive it. Yep, so that's one pattern acquisition and the yarn to go with it. The other pattern that was gifted to me was Fiorellino by Isabell Kraemer, and it's a really gorgeous yoked design that Isabell designed using myak Fior di Lino. And yeah, so Penny gifted me that pattern, so thank you, Penny, because I was so excited about that one. When I purchased, actually I'll talk about this because this was the acquisition when I bought the myak baby yak. I purchased that from Handmake Create in Alexandria in Sydney, and the lady who runs that shop, her name's Natasha as well, Tash. So I purchased 2 skeins of that from her. She so kindly, because I was going into Alexandria with my daughter Mia to look at a wedding venue, but I was going on Wednesday, and Handmake Create is actually only open Fridays and Saturdays. So I just sent Tash an email and asked, because she does say on the website, just send me an email if you wanted to come in a different day. So I said, I'm going to be there Wednesday. Would you possibly be able to open up? And no stress if not. And yeah, she did. So I got 2 skeins of that, and I also got 4 balls of the Fior di Lino myak in, I think this is the colorway Fox, which is one of the Isabell Kraemer colors, and I purchased that to make Fiorellino. So thank you so much, Penny, for that pattern. I've got the yarn now. I don't know when I'm going to start it. Like, I'm so, you know how you're just tempted to start the new thing now, and then the things that you've set up with pattern and yarn can kind of go a bit stale in your mind. I still want to make them, but they just seem less exciting. So anyway, I like the idea of this, actually starting this maybe once I finish that Sophie shawl, because I think if I get the yoke done and I get all of that fitted well, then I could work on the body of it, maybe on the plain, particularly because like the balls are already wound up, and I don't have to like skein anything. So anyway, I got 4 balls of that, which is very exciting. So that's kind of some pattern and yarn acquisitions. The other thing is I did actually purchase some yarn on D-Stash a couple of weeks ago, but I just forgot to show it. I think it was in the freezer. I've had a tendency now, if I buy any yarn on D-Stash, I just put it straight in the freezer just in case of any buggies or anything. So I got this Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy. This looks so 80s. I got 2 balls of that to make a skirt number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So this is 100 grams, 230 meters. So that's 460 meters. Even though I'll probably make the skirt number 1 a little bit longer, I still think 460 meters should work, because I think for my size it's only meant to take 350, which seems nuts. 350 meters for a skirt. But anyway, yes, I should have enough of that. And if I don't, the person that I bought it off from D-Stash has a 3rd skein, so I'd have to pay extra shipping and everything, but it's all right. At least it's there, and unless she sells it to someone else in the meantime, that is a possibility. So that would be a really nice winter skirt, and I'd wear it over tights anyway, so it's not like it, even if it was a little bit short, I wouldn't be wearing it over bare skin. So, and I have heard that this doesn't feel scratchy, but I've heard that it might be a little bit scratchy. Anyway, I just love those neon colors. How fun are they? So that was, and from the same person, I'm not quite sure why I added this, but you know, you just like, I don't know. I really like this color. This is Madelinetosh Vintage. So I got 3 skeins of this from the same lady's D-Stash in the colorway Dustweaver. And I really love this color. I purchased this yarn in the pashmina for my Ingle sweater, but I held it together with a mohair, so I never actually used it like, I did make I made a Sophie scarf out of the leftovers of the pashmina as well, so I do actually have that just in this color, but you know, when you hold it with a mohair, it looks quite different. So yeah, I just think that's really, that green is the, that green is just the tie, ignore that green. Isn't that pretty? So I got 3 skeins of that in the vintage, and I thought that would be enough to make a vest. I don't know which vest pattern, but I just watched a video by a lovely yarn. Why am I blanking on her name? Amber. I watched Amber's, she just had a vest video on her channel. And yeah, anyway, I'm inspired. So I'm sure I'll be able to make something. Vintage is a pretty heavy kind of yarn. Like I think it's only, this is 182 meters, so I've got 540 meters, but that should be enough for a vest for me, a slip over. So I think that's it for my I guess it's kind of a plan. Like I'll make a vest, but I don't know what vest yet. So, but that's it for my acquisitions and plans for the moment, I think. Moving on to my personal stuff now. If you're leaving me now, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I hope to be back at least within a couple of weeks. But if you're sticking around, I'm not sure how long this will be, but it can't be too long because I have a doctor's appointment in 45 minutes. So not that I'm going to talk for 45 minutes about my personal stuff, but anyway, since I last recorded, I'm a high school teacher, I'm on school holidays, and these school holidays worked out quite differently from what I had planned. I'd planned to make ice cream and do all this sewing and, go through cupboards and pantries and, clean out the fridge and all that kind of thing. Anyway, last Thursday, if you saw on Instagram, I went into hospital on Thursday night, so what's that, a week ago today, and was in the ER for 7.5 hours before getting seen. So the ERs are definitely stretched to the limit here in Australia. But I ended up seeing a doctor at 4:30 in the morning, and she diagnosed appendicitis. I am so grateful to her, a lovely lady named Jessie. She's from the UK at Sutherland Hospital. She was working at 4:30 in the morning, obviously seeing people who'd been waiting for hours. She was so nice and so kind, and my bloods were totally fine. There was nothing showing any infection, but she could tell that I was in pain, in my lower right abdomen, and she's like, and all of your other symptoms, it does sound like it could be appendicitis. And, sometimes people get sent away like, well, there's nothing in your blood, so you should be fine and go home. But she ordered a CT scan, and yes, I did have an inflamed appendix. So that got removed on Friday morning, and I'm recovering now. So I already showed you a couple of my little wounds, or at least the bandages. I'm getting them checked in about half an hour-ish, and just to make sure everything's healing okay, but I'm feeling well. I'm going for walks. I'm being very gentle and not trying to do too much. I'm not doing all of the, active plans that I had for the holidays, but I'm still, I'm sewing. I'm helping my, I did my Babylon leather bag sewing. I'm helping my son with his schoolwork. I'm still making dinner and doing things around the house, but I'm not doing the big sort of active stuff. And yeah, I'm going overseas in like 2.5 weeks, so I definitely want to be right for that. That's going to force me to pack light. Ailsa was giving me a method for packing. I need to look that up, where you sort of just focus more on the outfits rather than the individual items. So I need to look that up, make sure I'm not packing too much, because even still I have to make sure I'm not lifting too much, even in a few weeks' time. And I'll ask for help. I'll ask people if they'll help me get my bag off the carousel and all that kind of thing. So that's kind of what's been happening lately, just been recovering, and obviously doing a bit of knitting. There's more things I want to do, but like I just have to, remind myself my body is healing, and to just give myself the time to heal. I do have something nice planned for tomorrow. I think if you've been watching for a while, you know that maybe in this April this year, like 6 months ago, I did a knitting class with some clients from a local women's shelter, and I'm doing another class tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. I feel totally fine. It's only like a 15-minute drive away, and the manager of the shelter has purchased the yarn. I suggested this time that she purchase Line brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick, just because it's kind of easier to like make some progress, and also 9mm needles. And I was looking on Ravelry what for people to make that we could get started, and I was reminded of a pattern from years ago called Wham Bam Thank You Lamb, and it's just this little neck warmer where you basically just make, instead of making like some massive garter stitch scarf which will take forever, you just make a shortish rectangle. I think you cast on like 25 stitches, you make a rectangle pretty much with the majority of the yarn, and then you sew it up, and then that's it, and it's finished. So it's just the knit stitch, it's just a little bit of sewing up at the end, and then people will have a complete finished object. So I'm looking forward to that. That's tomorrow morning. Other than that, just helping my son get ready for his exams, which start in a week. So that's all kind of coming to a close. Getting my, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on packing and different, like I've bought different things for the plane in terms of eye masks and things to stabilize my neck, and replacement batteries for the AirTag and all that kind of admin stuff. Bottle like a backpack for me to take on the plane, because I'm flying Qatar and they've got a really small luggage, like a really 50 centimeter size bag allowance, which is quite small. Anyway, that sort of takes time. So I've just been knitting away, watching those videos, getting inspiration also on what to do while I'm away. So I'm super excited. That's coming up so soon. But yeah, like it's Thursday, I'm back at school on Monday, so I've got 2 weeks back at school, while my son's also doing his HSC, and then I'll be going to Europe. So I'll hope to record again in, I don't know if it'll be 2 weeks from today, maybe about 10 days. I'll see. Like I'm working as of next Monday, so I'll see how I go. And I also, anyway, my brain's not 100% at the moment, so I'm sorry if I'm being a bit rambly. It's been hard. Like I'm trying to help my son with some really high level maths, and I feel like my brain's hurting. So I think sometimes recovery, when you're recovering from, a surgery or whatever, it's not just your body that's recovering, like your brain's not as sort of, well, at least my brain doesn't feel quite as sharp as it normally does. So, anyway, I think this afternoon after I see the doctor, I'm going to go for a gentle walk and a coffee with a friend. So I am trying to take it easy, but it's nice to have my knitting. It was nice to have my knitting at the hospital, and it's just nice to have that as part of my, like, something that I can do while I'm not being too busy. And it probably also means I don't want to do anything that is going to require too much brain power in my knitting as well at the moment. Anyway, I feel like I have the tendency, like I have it in me to ramble. So I'm going to shut this off now and say that's enough for today. Thank you so much for being here and for your prayers and well wishes and encouragement for my healing. And I will be back, hopefully in about 10 days to do another video.